Hi, my name is Bill, and today's story is a true Bible story about a man who had a very difficult decision to make. The decision was to either obey God and lose his life, or to obey a king's law. And if he obeyed the king, he would be going against God, but his life would be spared. What do you think the man decided to do? Well, we're going to find out in today's true Bible story about a man named Daniel. Now, a long time ago, there was a man whose name was Daniel, and Daniel loved God a lot. He worshiped him, and every day he'd go into his room, stand by his window, and he'd pray. He'd pray in the morning, he prayed in the afternoon, and he prayed in the evening as well. Now, Daniel was also the helper of a king, and the king really liked Daniel a lot. But not everybody that worked for the king liked Daniel. You see, they were jealous of him. They thought that the king loved Daniel more than he loved them. So they were trying to think of ways to get rid of Daniel. Well, they thought and thought. But the problem was that Daniel did very few things wrong. Then they came up with something that just might work. They went to the king and decided to trick him. And they said, "King Darius, sir, you are a wonderful king, and we think that instead of people praying to God and worshiping God, the people should worship you. So we think that you should make a new law, and the law would be that people would not be able to worship God, but they could only worship you." Darius thought, that's a great idea, having the people in my kingdom worship me, and he signed it into law. Well, when Daniel found out about the law, he knew that it had a very strong penalty. You see, if Daniel broke that law and he prayed to God, well, he could be thrown into a den of hungry lions. Still, it didn't take Daniel very long to make his decision. Daniel knew that God was the only person that he should follow. And so, every day he'd go into his room, he'd stand by his window, and he'd pray. He continued to pray in the morning, and in the afternoon, and the evening. And the king's helpers, they watched Daniel. And then when he prayed, they knew they had got him. And they ran over to Daniel and they arrested him and they took him to King Darius. And they said, "King Darius, Daniel has been praying to God and not you. And because of it, you must throw him into a den of hungry, man-eating lions." Well, Darius said, "I don't want to do that. Why, he's my friend and one of my best helpers." And the men said, "But you signed a law into order, and you must keep that law." Well, the king was furious because he knew that he had been tricked, but there was nothing he could do about it. He had to send Daniel to the lion's den. Well, the good thing was that Daniel didn't go alone. God was there with him, and God sent an angel to tie the mouths of the lions so that Daniel would be safe. And the next day when Darius ran down to see if Daniel was okay, Darius said, Daniel, are you eaten? Or has your God protected you?" Daniel said, "God has protected me. He sent an angel to tie the mouths of the lions. I don't even have a scratch on me." Darius was so excited. Darius helped Daniel out of the lion's den, and he got rid of that terrible law. Daniel was safe. And every day, he'd go to his room, he'd stand by his window, and he'd pray. He continued to pray in the morning, and in the afternoon, and in the evening. You know, it's God's law that we need to follow. Have you ever had a time when somebody's tried to do something that you knew was against what God wanted them to do? Or maybe somebody tried to get you to do something that you knew was wrong and said, "If you don't listen to us, we're not going to be your friend anymore." Well, here's the thing to remember. We need to be like Daniel. We need to know what God's laws are and always obey God, no matter what. That's not easy to do, but it's the right thing to do. Well, we're out of time for now, but I'll be back again with another true Bible story. So until then, bye-bye.